Welcome back, everyone, to another Company Fierce 2 replay cast. This time we have a 2v2 on Rails of Metal, sent in by Joxa, I believe. Let's check it out, actually. If he's from the Balkan, yes, it's him. It is him. It's Doxa, or however you want to pronounce that name. And his buddy is going to be Papa Meme, because, of course, both Soviets up against Highlander and Sertodi. Both OKW. Oh boy. 2 OKW on Rails and Metal. Who gonna funk it? Yeah, Rails and Metal. You probably know the map. If you don't, shame. I mean, this map has been around for like 9 years or something. You have had time to learn it. Alright, so actually no one's rushing the house. That's interesting. Damn, that's loud. So Cube Wagon on the field for Highlander. Not the worst idea on Rails and Metal, actually. Looks like the first engagement is going to happen on the right side as some engineers meet some better engineers. So my opinion is going to be that the better engineers get the better of it, except there's some conscripts around. So conscripts turning that fight around. Still though, the combat engineers take a massive amount of damage from those STG-44s at relatively close range. They're forced back. The conscripts win. However, there's also yet more conscript on Stern Pioneer action. It is up here at the field point. So here comes Joxa's conscripts. Can they win out against those Stern Pows? Yes, they can. However, they're going to get flanked by these Volksgrenadiers. And the Volksgrenadiers are getting into that building. Oops, there's no windows there. So the conscripts can literally just stay here and beat the Stern Pows and then get around and just get free damage on these guys. Yep, that is something that you always need to be worried about. Right now, Sertodi is really getting fucked in the rear. That is, I believe, the term. And right now, as you can see, even the Maxim can get in on the fun. Outside of the range of these riflemen, they can't fire on the Maxim, but the Maxim can definitely fire on them. So they're taking basically free damage. However, there's some more Volksgrenadiers around here, so the conscripts are going to have to try to hide behind the buildings in weird ways. Molotovs are picked by Joxa just to get rid of the building. Here comes the Molotov cocktail, and that's going to force away that Volksgrenadier squad straight into the arc of fire of the Maxim. But the Maxim's arc of fire is not as well positioned as Joxa was thinking, and right now it has to reposition to avoid getting itself flanked from the not flank. In the south, in the meantime, we have that Papa Meme is pushing up with his conscripts and doing very, very well. He's about to massacre an entire Volksgrenadier squad. Can he finish it off? It's just barely able to escape with literally one bullet, ready to finish it off. But oh well, that is fine. Papa Meme has taken some pretty nasty casualties on his conscript squads, and he's gonna have to escape out of the building. But he escapes out the wrong door, and so he takes a fistful, or rather faceful, of German lead. So yeah, he probably wanted to escape out of this build, really. He probably wanted to escape out of the back door rather than the front one. Still though, oh boy, looks like the Maxim machine gun was trying to get into the building, but he got kind of cock-blocked by some Volksgrenadiers over here. Volksgrenadiers, which are soon going to get a battle headquarters pretty close to the front line for Sertodi. So Sertodi is really starting to get himself some good... Oh, please get into the building. Please get into the building. Oh no. Oh no. Oh well, okay. Sertodi is getting himself some map control due to that. He's still got the left-hand side fuel point because they've been fighting over essentially this building. Has he lost the Volksgrenadier squad? Sertodi. Oh, he's gonna lose one now. Can they finish it off? Yeah, come on. Come on, conscripts. Hit some shots. You have Moss and Nagans. Yes. Massacred at long range. Well done. Joxa getting a kill on those lovely Volksgrenadiers. So yeah, he has lost one, and looks like he's gonna replace it with a Sturm officer. Oh boy, that is Breakthrough Doctrine, instantly picked and instantly revealed. So, or rather, will be revealed once the Sturm officer hits the field against the allies. That is an interesting choice so early on. Of course, this map does lend itself to the Jagdtiger quite well, so it is something that a lot of people tend to do. Here comes a massive amount of conscripts from Papa Meme. Papa Meme is floating quite a bit of manpower. That is because he is waiting for those guards, riflemen, infantry squads. Will he pick it? Yes, he will. So elite infantry coming in from all sides, both from the OKW and the Soviets. Yet more guards for Joxa. That is not guards mechanized though. It is guards motor, or no, wait, guards combined arms. Sorry. It's that these two guys look exactly the same. Or rather, these guys, yeah, they just basically look exactly the same as the guard motor coordination guy. That's fine though. He will have the KB1s instead of those T-34-85s. I myself prefer the T-34-85, but at least with this one, you get the ML20 gun howitzer, which is a very good tool, especially on against 2 OKW on a map like Rails and Meadow. Not bad at all. In the meantime, however, there is a bit of a problem for the allies. They're getting triple capped by the Axis. Oh wow, that was an amazing amount of damage from that grenade. Right, because it was the guards rifleman. I'm like, where did that damage come from? The Molotov definitely didn't do that. So yes, it was the guards rifleman infantry. Right now, as you can see, they're ignoring all of the VPs. Well, on the left side, it's not that they're ignoring it. It's more like the Germans are holding onto it with their dear life. And that dear life is an MG34. MG34 supported by the Sturm officer can be quite deadly, actually. I never really thought about it, but now that I think about it, yeah, it can probably be very deadly because the MG34 does have some of the better actual damaging stats, accuracy and rate of fire or whatever. I mean, it's not as doesn't fire as fast as the MG42, but it's got some pretty good accuracy, so it's actually quite good compared to other German MGs at killing models, whereas of course the MG42 is a lot better at suppressing enemies. And yeah, I'm guessing that this is gonna be pretty dangerous, pretty dangerous, especially with the support of the Sturm officer. That is why I think the combination is pretty good. The Sturm officer can even just do the target them, which is gonna be doing a lot more when it comes to the dealing damage department, as it is essentially a target vehicle, except it's for infantry. Alright, at least the Allies are reclaiming the right side for the glory of the Soviet Onion. And yeah, they're swarming onto the center as well, thanks to the mortar from Jocksub, which was a very good pick. He has been able to push the Axis back to their headquarters around here. On the right side, though, there is a bit of a slight issue for them. There is a flak half-track, and the flak half-track on a map like Rails and Metal can really perform well. Infantry group lost. Looks like someone lost a squad for the Axis. That's not good. Still, though, what I was thinking is that it is a very good thing for the Axis to have this flak half-track, so that's gonna push Papa Meme into tier 2, I would guess, so that he can counter the flak. Although he might also want to go with more guards. Yes, more guards. He's already got 2 guards. He might want to get a 3rd squad, because if you have 3 squads of guards, you can essentially just kill the flak half-track instantly in one volley of PTRS fire. So that might be where the Axis have to really watch out. And that is an amazing grenade. Well done. So those RGD-33 grenades being used very effectively by the guards. These grenades are extremely strong, and you need to be very wary of them if you're the Axis. As you can see, Joxa has been able to make use of them. His ally has been able to make use of them. And by now, the Germans, yes, the Germans, need to be more careful about their whole predicament, because the Allies are really starting to get superiority when it comes to infantry. In fact, a very crushing one at that. We do have a Panzer Fusilier squad from Sertoti, and we do have a couple of squads from Highlander, but they can't really deal with the massive amount of guards riflemen that the Allies have been able to push out. And these elite infantry, if unchecked, will just get veteran, and the Axis will have more problems at dealing with them. So it's actually kind of a stalemate right now. The Germans are kind of coming back a little bit, but not as well as they could be. Here comes the Papashas. Papashas for those conscripts. And yes, this flak half-track is doing its job pretty well. As you can see, it's just kind of pounding away at these infantry that are coming in. What, however, the flak half-track is very afraid of is the allied infantry just charging in, and 80 grenades have just been upgraded by Papa Meme, so it is a very real fear. Incendiary grenades being exchanged by both of these players, but none of them will really do too much, except they will force a retreat on those conscripts, which might not be the best. Guards trying to push up and fire at the flak half-track, but the flak half-track in Soviet Russia fires on you, and so yeah, the flak capture can just kind of escape. However, yeah, these guys move in a little bit too close and get really massacred by the Mazar Nagan fire. So not good for them. Will they be able to get in close? Probably not. The flak capture is supported by an MG42, so this infantry should be a little bit more careful with how it plays out, that fight. Guards Rifle Combined Arms Tactics, of course, does also have the conscript Papa Shahs. Will they be wiped out? Probably. Oh, come on. You can't hit the broadside of the barn now, can you? Yeah, it looks like Fritz and Schmidt over here are going to get demoted. Just give the G43s to someone else. So he's going to be able to escape with that conscript. And yet more conscripts just coming out of the base, coming out of the woodwork. And yeah, forcing these guys back. They can't really do too much. They tried to get the cutoff by a cheeky little move, but it was not enough. In the meantime, in the south, of course, the Soviets are encountering flak half-track difficulties, which is why I was saying that an anti-tank gun would be a whole load superior to what Papa Meme is trying to do right now, because guess what? The anti-tank gun can just fire on this thing from long range anyway, and not care about the suppression because, well, it's an anti-tank gun, it doesn't get suppressed. And yeah, he is going for an AT, and the AT is a good decision. Papa Meme also is going for the tier 3, which is going to give him some extra options, but he might want to go for the tier 4 just like his ally Joxa did. Joxa has tier 4, and he can bring out a T-34-76 out of it, which he might want to do as his opponent decides to go with a very late Lukes. Now he's also got an Araken River, but still, like, Lukes is going to be quite vulnerable to a T-34-76. If I were Sir Toady, I wouldn't have gone with a Lukes at 13 minutes in the game, to be honest. Especially against two players, not one, two players with Guards Riflemen. Here comes the anti-tank grenade, and yeah, that's going to be the end of that Lukes. And that was, to be honest, to be expected. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, so the anti-tank gun sets up on the right side, tries to do its own thing. In the meantime, on the left, of course, because that Lukes has been forced back, the superior allied infantry can just really easily come up here and do some damage. What has been kind of saving Sir Toady has been his aggressive battle quarters placement. Because of that, wait, what? Back in the fight? What the? Guards have hit the dirt? Are you kidding me? I never noticed this. Must have been the newest patch. Oh, there goes the poor engineer squad. Still though, yeah, what these guards can't really do is deal with the battle quarters while there's German infantry around. So this has really been causing problems for Joxa because his opponent can reinforce literally a screen away from the VP and get back into the fight very quickly. Here comes the T-70 on the south, tries to fight the flak half-track. It's gonna, of course, take a long while for it to do anything. It has been able to also rescue this field gun, destroys the cube wagon. The MG34 has been pushed away by just combinations of different things, and the T-70 has to run away from a swarm of Volksgrenadiers coming in with angry looks and Panzerfausts. So of course, they're going to also try to capture the anti-tank gun, which might be very bad for the Luke, or not the Luke, sorry, the T-70 light tank. It's a little late. T-70 light tank. There goes one of those conscripts. T-70 is in trouble because it's kind of stuck on those tree trunks, and right now he is doing some pretty massive damage with his 45mm gun, but he has to run away. In the meantime, the Guards Riflemen, if they can kill the AT gun crew, then the T-70 can come back around and support them, but they can't do that, and so the Sturmpows plus the flak force them away. So the Axis take the right side, the Axis take the center with the Panzer Fusiliers. They're kind of pushing on this T-34-76, and the Axis take the left side as well. Here comes the crush attempt. An anti-tank grenade almost did some damage to T-34-76, but the crushing attempt does confuse the hell out of those Panzer Fusiliers, and quite a bit of firepower is just outputted from that T-34-76, who's chasing them down. That might not be the best idea ever, because yeah, there was a Reckenwerfer. There is a Reckenwerfer. Needs to be a little careful about that. So while the situation hasn't been the best for the Allies in the last few minutes, they still have some of the advantages that they had on earlier. But they need to find some way to really get back into this. And what I was thinking... T-70 light tank, T-34 76. Yeah, what they need to do is really try to pull together on one side of the map, because if they keep being split like this, just having one player go on one side and one player go on the other side, they're not gonna have the... I just always love it when they crash into the flags for this VP, or not just the VP, for just any point. They crash into the flag of a capture point. It's kind of hilarious. Still though, what they need to do is, again, pool together their resources and try to strike at one of those zones, either the left-hand side or the right-hand side. They need to choose a Pokemon and go at it. Otherwise, they're just gonna still be defeated in detail. They're gonna keep getting defeated on one side or the other, or both. Schwerpanzer Headquarters is up for Sir 30, which is going to further increase his control over the left-hand side. It does have the range to cover some of this left-hand side VP. It also has the range to almost cover some of the center VP. So it is in a very, very good spot to keep the German domination of the left-hand side rolling and going. However, it is going to be in a very aggressive forward location. So what is happening right now with Joxa is that he is going to get a ML20 howitzer. This is a very, very good choice for him, because it's going to give him the tool to deal with this assemblement of German SimCity. And once the German SimCity is put under artillery fire, it is gonna be not nearly as viable as it has been for the past few minutes as a tool for Germany to control that left-hand side. So the turnaround kind of for the Allies, or at least for Jox on the left-hand side, is at hand. It is in the form of this big-ass howitzer that's being assembled right now by the engineers. So this is going to be a very, very big turnaround in the fortunes of the Allies, actually. They're already putting the building under mortar fire with this PM41, and that's already putting up pressure. But once that artillery piece fires with the 152 millimeter heavy shells, that's when the damage is really going to start to pile on this thing. However, they need to protect the howitzer, as it's about to get discovered by some Sturm Pioneers. That's not the best, because Sir 30 does have assault artillery, and this is fairly close to a munitions point, rather a munitions cache and a strategic point. So yeah, the Allies need to be careful not to let that thing be discovered. And no, they haven't yet, but still. The Germans need to be kept in the dark for at least a little bit longer. In fact, I think it was a pretty not smart idea to position a howitzer so close to the point when the enemy has breakthrough doctrine. Anyway, here comes the shells. And they can be fairly nasty. As you can see, these Sturm Pioneers are not happy about the whole situation. They're lucky as hell that did not do any damage. Actually, Joxa is using the flares from his mortar to provide spotting for the artillery. As you can see, that is a very, very good choice, because it's going to increase the accuracy of those shells. Not being as effective as it probably could be, but that's kind of just RNG, and it's going to get fixed in, in due time. The east is not looking quite as good for the Allies. There is an anti-tank gun over here that was stolen. The flak half-track is still around. There's no artillery pieces on the field for Papa Meme. He hasn't been able to get anything out of his mechanized armor Campagnia except for a T-34 76. So he is in a worse position than his ally, and he's still trying to, however, put up pressure on the right side, which is great. What the Allies want to do is they need to keep up pressure at least on the right side. Now that the artillery piece is built, what they want to do is they really want to focus most of their efforts on the left-hand side. But if the right-hand side does not, if they do not apply any pressure to the right, then the right side player, Highlander, can just kind of swarm into the center and help out on the left. And if that happens, then the Allies can't really advance there either. And then they just kind of lose everywhere. But hey, that's just kind of what I think. Let's speed up a little bit. Maxim machine gun is still kind of trying to hold on here against the flak, but the flak is just being such a boss. T-34-76 moves in, but on this side, the T-34 is in a very precarious spot, very, very difficult one because of these two AT guns. It's not like he can do too much. As you can see, whenever he tries to do anything, he takes basically half of his HP of damage. He's lucky that they didn't kill him then and there, sorry. He's lucky that that happened. And right now, yeah, those conscripts, they can probably throw a incendiary grenade. That was a bad idea, not throwing an incendiary grenade. Guards trying to stall the enemy infantry and doing quite well at that. They're doing more than stalling, they're killing them. In the center though, the Germans are still moving in and they're at 467 VPs, whereas the Allies are down to 156. So really this howitzer is going to have to start pulling its weight soon. And Joxal also is floating a lot of resources, so he's going to have to start really getting out some vehicles. If I were him, I would go for an Su-85 because I would know that the enemy is going for something in the later stages of the game, though that later stages of the game vehicle might be either a King Tiger or a Jag Tiger for Sartori, so it's definitely a big Tiger. I mean, no doubts about it. He has upgraded all 4 buildings and he's breakthrough doctrine, so it's a big Tiger. The question is, which big Tiger? Is it going to be the Jag or the King? I would go for the King. And he's going for a P4, so he's actually going for the Jag. So he doesn't want to wait like 50 million years for the Jag Tiger, and he knows that he's going to be wasting resources just letting him sit there. So he's going for the P4. Yeah, not sure about that. Not sure about that. Here come some big airstrikes. Oh, well, damn, that is potentially dangerous. As you can see, that's essentially suppressing all of these German infantry squads very, very close to the battle group. Luckily, the shells for the howitzer barrage have ran out, so no more shells coming in there. That's lucky for them. In the meantime, in the east, there is still just brutal fighting, and it's not going in the favor of the Allies. They're being pushed back, which is, again, to be expected because the Germans have been able to build up a nasty infantry force with a lot of veterancy. They have that flak that the Allies don't have. That is a much superior suppression platform. In fact, they have suppression platforms in the first place because the Maxim for Papa Meme has been decrewed. The anti-tank guns are being captured. They can capture or salvage all of these support weapons over here. T-34-76 tries to come in and do something, but it's too late to actually save the anti-tank gun, and you know, it's also too late to do anything else because here comes the German anti-tank guns, and those are going to be forcing it back. Panzer IV is around, and the Panzer IV is trying to do something. However, it's getting buttoned by the guards, and the T-34-76 is doing quite a bit of damage to it. However, a Raketenwerfer 42 is probably going to push back this T-34-76. Main gun is destroyed. Here comes the shot from the Panzer IV, finishing it off with a very supremely aimed shell. And looks like the Panzer IV cannot be destroyed by the remaining Soviet troops around here. A KV-1 will be built to replace it. I don't think that's the best choice I've ever seen, to be honest, because the KV-1 does have its problems. It's slow. The gun is basically still the same of the T-34-76, except it's much more expensive. You know, you're paying 55 more fuel, and it's got the same gun. It's kind of like, eh. The armor isn't really all that useful because the Germans have penetration aplenty anyway. So, yeah, honestly, if I were going for the KV-1, I'd go for T-34-76s anyway, because for the role that the KV-1 is used for, which is anti-infantry, you might as well get something that's fast and cheap, rather than something that's durable, more durable rather, but slow and a lot more expensive. I don't know. I mean, it's not the slowest thing ever, but it is pretty fucking slow. Panther on the right side for Highlander, so he's gonna go a more traditional build for the Axis, and as you can see, he's also gone with the Fallschirmjägers, which is, in my opinion, a pretty bad pick for him. I mean, the only thing he's gonna be getting a use out of is the Stuka Smoke Reconnaissance, which is, to be fair, a very, very good ability. but it's like, what is he gonna do with that? You know, smoke some things. Right now the howitzer crew is kind of like, what? There goes the Schwerpanzer. As predicted, it was only a matter of time before the Schwerpanzer was going to go down once the artillery piece, once the artillery piece came into play. And that's pretty good for the Allies. Right now, oh wow, the Panther decided to just charge in. I have no idea what it was thinking. Just moving down this road. Looks like it was anti-tank related, and predictably, the KV-1 and the T-34-76 are swarming it from the rear. And yeah, please call the police, because that is an attempted rape. Well, no, it's not an attempted rape. It's a successful rape. And so please call the police. That is a crime. Of course, the KV-1 heavy tank is being chased down by some angry Germans with Panzerfausts, who are very, very angry that they killed their, allied, but, stupid but still friendly Panther. Oh, there goes one of those Volksgrenadiers. So that was pretty bad for the Axis. They have lost a Panther, and they've lost a veteran 5 Volksgrenadier squad. They might even lose a Obersoldat. They're probably not going to. They do retreat through a bit of negative cover, but they managed to escape with just one guy back across to their base. Su-85 is on the field for Joxa. That is, in my opinion, a very, very, very superior choice to more KV-1s at least. So that's why he went for a KV-1, because he wants something to soak up damage for the Su-85. In the meantime, on the right side, we have Papamin deciding to go with essentially KV-1 meets Su-85. The Su-152, of course, the Su-152 has much more because it can also really fuck up infantry. It can also really fuck up buildings, for that matter. And the Su-152 is going to be a very good tool for him, of course, out of mechanized support. The Germans, however, are down to, or not down, they're triple capping the Allies, and the Allies are down to 78 points. So the Allies need to find some way to deal with this shortage, lest they be shortage of, well, life and victory. They need to find something. Need to find some way. In the meantime, it seems like the howitzer is content to shoot at this Schwerpanzer headquarters, which does not have range enough to cover the right side VP, but it is still a bit of an annoying little piece of Germany that they're gonna have to deal with. Interesting that the howitzer does not want to shoot at the battle headquarters first, because the battle headquarters is providing some good services to the German army on the left side. So I would have thunk that would have been the target. In the meantime, the KV-1 is doing its own thing. The Allies still kind of down when it comes to the fuel. They still haven't been able to really secure this left side fuel point, but they're still trying. Only 50 points remaining, and we do get the neutralization on the left-hand side and the capture of the right-hand side. Looks like the Maxim was not salvaged, or well, maybe it was. Maybe it was, and this is a new one. Still, though, the Maxim plus the Su-152. I love this thing. Absolutely plasters that Volksgrenadier squad, although he manages to survive by the skin of his teeth. And that prevents the Germans from capturing the right side. In the center, the Allies are actually advancing thanks to this T-34-76. Destroys the MG-34 completely, and that allows the conscripts free reign over the center VP. The left side VP has been captured by Joxa's conscripts as well. And right now, the left-hand side, where is the KB? The KB is a little out of position to defend it, but there is an MG Maxim that can defend it as well. So, yeah, the KV-2 right now is not really caring about the Reckenwerfer that's shooting at it. It should probably start to care. I mean, he didn't need to care. That's fine. Didn't need to care at all. But right now, as you can see, the Allies capturing the left-hand side, the Germans the right side. The Allies capturing the middle, but it's not secure. So it's a little bit of a back-and-forth moment. The Germans just need to either triple cap the Allies for almost a minute, or do very, 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 very good move. Try to just kind of slow down the Allied progress, although the guy decides to escape. So they have a very, very good tool in the Sturmofficer, because he, as you saw, can force retreat enemy squads, which is a very, very, very good way to get rid of machine guns that you don't like. However, yeah, I decided, like, that was not the most well-timed forced retreat of all time. Yak Panzer on the right side. Looks like it's gonna deal with the T-34-76 easily enough, but there's a little bit of a superior tank destroyer around. Yep. Su-152. Why is the Su-152 running away? Hello? He's at full HP. Where are you going, guys? You're at 48 VPs. Put pressure on the enemy. Capture points. You need every force you can at the front line. By the way, where's the Yak-Tiger? Well, Yak-Tiger. Who knows if it's going to be really the Yak-Tiger. I know what it's not going to be soon. Panzer IVs, as it is taking fire from both the Su-85 and the KV-1. It's also, wow, that's pathetic. It's also being buttoned by the guards. Now it is back, you know, back to its free dimension. However, yeah, it's getting chased down by Su-85s and all. Here comes the anti-tank grenade, along with an artillery shell, and he does go down. 21 kills for the howitzer. That is indeed a very, 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 very good performance for now for that artillery piece. Let's see if he can finish off this Schwerpanzer headquarters and this battle headquarters. I feel like the success of the Allies is very, very much owing to that artillery piece, opening up the left-hand side, some more Allied aggression, and also putting up pressure to the Germans when pressure was kind of desperately needed for the Allies. So what this howitzer now needs to do is that it's going to need to be, once again, a source of pressure, just kind of putting the enemy bases under fire. As you can see, the retreat point is still being used by Todi, and at some point he's probably going to get punished for that, because with the glory of that howitzer, he can just easily... Ooh, there's actually a Katyusha as well on the field. He can really start to whittle down Sir Todi's infantry force, and the more that infantry force is whittled down, the more control the Allies are going to be able to establish over the left-hand side VP. And if they can establish more control over there, they're going to essentially secure their VP position. Or maybe not completely secure it, but definitely go a long way towards doing that. So that's what they need to do, and then what they need to try to do. Because with the Su-152 on the field, and the Germans going for a Yak-Tiger instead of a King Tiger, I think this is going to be essentially the triumph of the late game Allied armor, at least for now. Because while the Yak-Tiger is fairly strong at dealing with enemy armor, it's not like it can do everything. And the infantry is just going to swarm in and do its own thing. In the meantime, it seems like, yes, that artillery piece is raining down shells. That is potentially quite dangerous. Here comes some rockets on the side, just because why not? And that's really putting the hurt down on that battle headquarters. It's preventing the Germans from using it that well as a retreat and reinforcement base. So that is pretty bad for them. Damn, this flak is still around. 39, 40 kills. That's a madman. Someone arrest this guy. What the hell? It's honestly kind of baffling how the Allies just haven't been able to deal with this thing. Like, with an Su-152. With an Su-152 around, they can't deal with a flak half-track. That is quite nice to see. At least if you're a flak half-track crew, not if you're an Allied infantry soldier. Anyway, we have 44 VPs left for the Allies. What the Germans need to do at this point is, just like the Allies earlier needed to not split off excessively until they had the howitzer, that was the change, into two separate entities, two separate armies, just one going to the extreme right, another going to the extreme left. Now the Germans need to avoid doing that. Because if they do that, then, well, they're in a position where they're weaker on one side, they're weaker on the other side. Well, maybe not even weaker on the other side, but even on the other side. So that allows the Allies ways to at least keep those points at neutral. So at least keep, like now, 1-1 neutral. Or 2-1 for the Allies. And what the Germans want is either 2-1 for the Axis, or 3-0 for the Axis, of course. The Germans have plenty of time to make that happen, so what they need to do is they need to also conserve their resources rather than waste them like they have just done. They need to be more afraid of the enemy artillery. And what they need to do is, again, try to consolidate onto 1 or 2 VPs to at least keep those into German hands. Because if, oh boy, that's bad. The Jagdtiger is showing its rear armor, and there's some conscripts around here. Can they fire an anti-tank grenade? No, they cannot. That's lucky for it. However, here comes the chase of the Allied vehicles. Here comes the chase. They're gonna have a lot of firepower, bringing down on that rear of the Jagdtiger. It is damaged engine from those conscripts. Once they get the reloaded AT grenade, the Su-85 is really doing a lot of damage from the rear. It's trying to turn around. It's trying to turn around and get behind these hedgerows. However, it is gonna be doing that slowly. So can the Su-85 finish it off? Almost. The KV-1 comes in to help. That's going to try to deal with the enemy infantry. There goes the Jagdtiger. It is dead as expected from that very, very masterful push from the Allied armor. In the meantime, on the right side, it seems like the Su-152 plus the Allied sort of fortification that they've set up over here has been able to hold off the Germans and push them back. Sir has dropped from the game. So this is probably going to be the end of that. Honestly, Sir with a lone Jagdtiger should have been a lot more afraid of what the Allies could have brought to bear up against them, especially with artillery pieces and with Su-85s and with a superiority when it comes to infantry. That is like a kind of, that's 3 very, very bad things for the Jagdtiger, even though, well, I mean, the Su-85 isn't a very, very bad thing because the Jagdtiger does counter the Su-85. But still, the Su-85 is a lot of, it represents a lot of damage in general that can come down on German vehicles. So what the Germans really needed to do, in my opinion, was unite into one group. Have one guy into the center, one guy on the right side, or maybe one guy on the left side, one guy onto the center. If they had been able to make that unity happen, then what they would have had is they would have had Highlanders vehicles working together to help defend the Jagdtiger, along with Highlanders infantry, which for a long while was actually very, very good. And oh boy, 1v1. There goes finally that nasty. Oh no, that was not the flak half track. That was a infrared. Looks like the flak half track did die though at one point. That was a bit of a salty conclusion. And yeah, so that's what the Germans did wrong, honestly. That's the main mistake that they did, because at the moment when that artillery piece came online, at that moment, precisely, the SimCity strategy was obsolete. And that was just the Allies choosing their doctrine well, along with the Su-152. Also, at that point, once the Su-152 was around, that exact point, the SimCity strategy on the right side was also finished. So what they needed to do, what the Germans needed to do once that had happened was adapt. It does not matter if the enemy counters you, if you can adapt to their counter and counter them back. So what the Germans in this case probably should have done is they should have had more ways of dealing with this artillery piece. But to be fair, that was maybe why he picked Fallschirmjägers, because he could just pair drop Fallschirmjägers over here. Yeah, he could just pair drop Fallschirmjägers over here and try to deal with it. And then try to get at least one guy for going for Panthers, which again, Highlander did. So he was more on the point when it comes to the anti-artillery kind of aspect. However, he was the guy facing the person with the least artillery, Papamim. Whereas his buddy was facing the guy with the more nasty artillery, Joxa. And he didn't try to really adapt to that. Adapt to the Allied playstyle at all. He still kept trying to get his little retreat point advantage, but at some point that just didn't work. He just got drained of manpower from retreating to the battle group instead of, as earlier, getting an advantage. So that got turned around against him, and at the same time, he wasn't able to counter the artillery in any way. So he, one, didn't change his playstyle and kept getting countered by the artillery. 2 did not try anything to counter the artillery itself and, you know, try to get his strategy going that way. So he didn't do either, and he paid the price. At the end, of course, the Allies win, and yeah, that's it. Thank you to Jaxa for sending in the replay. Very, very good game, and I hope you have all enjoyed. I will see you soon, and have a good day, or night, or evening, or whatever.